Chris G again here on a Thursday, and it's a Hard Hat the CEO episode, and we're going to talk about some real estate day with Boo Maddox. Boo's all the way from Utah. He's a real estate agent and a leadership coach, and he strives all that good stuff to help agents and so forth. And I thought it'd be good for our listeners, since we are actually builders of homes and those are sellers of homes, that we'd have an idea what's going on in the market and how we can work together. So please help me welcome Boo Maddox. Boo, welcome.
Hey, I appreciate that, Chris. Yeah, I help people sell houses, but my background is actually new construction. I was raised by a home builder myself, so that's pretty much all I've ever known for my life. So
There you go.
yeah, feel super comfortable to talk about all things for
All things
contractors,
construction.
builders. I mean, those are my favorite people to work with. That's what I do for my own personal production now, is I actually help represent home builders. So
Yeah, awesome. So for my people out there that how can real estate agents and contractors work together?
yeah, that's a good question. I think for us, the big thing for us is just finding people that we can trust. Ultimately, our goal is to be a resource for people that might need contractor services. And so for us, it's about building a relationship with somebody that we know that we can just turn something over to and never have to think about it again. Somebody that we can vouch for and then don't have to be involved, somebody that we can trust. So I think that's the big thing, is just figuring out ways to build trust with clients. I get hit up all the time, Chris, if I'm being honest, by different contractors that are saying, hey, let me be your guy. We'll kick you this back. We'll do 5%. We'll do this. We'll do that. And the reality is I don't need the extra money. I need my clients to have a positive experience. And so
Sure.
if you can help me have a positive experience, so that a referable experience with clients, as I like to call it, you'll be my guy for the go-to future.
So what would be before we talk about the opposite way, what would be a way to win you over as you just said it, but how would I prove it? Or what would I do? Testimonials, or just take you around and introduce you to people? How would I get you on my side as a contractor?
Yeah, honestly, I would probably have you do some work for me. I'm usually a person that tests people out prior to putting them onto anything. So I'd
Hmm.
have you help me with something in my own home, on one of my rental properties, something like that, or turn you over to a client that I know that, hey, this person will give me honest feedback. So I think more than anything, I honestly though, the easiest way is you guys are always in the know on when somebody's getting ready to renovate something before they sell it. If you
Yeah.
ever refer me something, you'll become my guy really quickly. You kind of jump that list. You shortcut the list just a little bit when you help me grow my business. And not even that I need you to be kicking me people all the time, but I tell like loan officers that are trying to get my business the same exact thing. If you can introduce me to somebody that can already vouch for you and that I get to work with, that's an easy shortcut in.
Yep. Referrals are a wonderful, wonderful thing.
And I think you guys are connected. I think you guys sometimes get called before I do. When people are thinking, hey, we got to get this place ready to go, we got to get this place ready to sell. I think y'all are in the know sometimes before I even am.
Well, and you said real estate. I mean, I'm an investor, a contractor, and I know a lot of things before other people know about a lot of things because
That's what I'm saying.
people looking for a place to live, and it's like, okay, or they're getting ready to build a house and have a place to live, or unfortunately separating and going to sell their house, but need a
Uh-huh.
place to live. All that good stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, I've been. We all kind of watch the market and so forth. And is that crash still coming?
Hey, we've been waiting for it for a couple of years. It's been crazy, even with interest rates going up. We really haven't seen a crash. I think what we'll see more than anything is we'll see some states' rights start to stand out just a little bit. I think
Yeah.
that it'll be very dependent on the market that you are in. But I mean, we run the number one team out of here in Utah. We did more transactions than any team here in the state of Utah did last year. And I'll be honest with you, Mr. Chris, we have seen more multiple offers in the last 2 weeks than we have in the last 2 years combined. So
I can believe that.
it's crazy because I mean, I was personally selling in 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22 when
Yeah.
I was in multiple offers with myself sometimes on these homes. And so, meaning I had multiple clients trying to get the same house, and I'd have them asking me, hey, do you think this is enough? And I got a little smirk on my face like, hey, I feel very confident in telling you it is in fact not enough. And so the fact that I'm already having to train some of my agents that just entered the marketplace within the last 6 months that are getting into this with everyone buzzing in their ears saying, hey, now's not the time, now's not the time, now's not the time. We're already starting to see some of those multiple offers creep back up. And I think what's happening, right, if you look from 2019 to 2020, interest rates dropped about 1.5% to 2%, right? They
Right.
went from high fours, low fives down into the high twos, low threes. I think honestly we're going to see something very similar when we get a 2% softening. So if interest rates go from mid sevens like they were down into the high fives, to me that's where I think stuff gets scary really quickly. Meaning multiple offers again on a lot of stuff is in the high fives. Once we break through that sixes barrier, it could get scary quickly.
Well, my daughters, when they got a house, well, they just recently, the last couple of years, and they were getting. Well, my one daughter got 3%.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
and and now they're paying what 7 or 8. I mean, some places in that.
Uh-huh.
And if you're really good, you can get a 6. I remember when we were tickled to death, my wife and I, when we got like a 7,
Uh-huh.
and then we refinanced and got down to like I think it was 6, 5.5, 6, and we were just like, what?
Yeah, we're staying here
And
for forever.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's all perspective, obviously, and even though people might compare it to a couple of years ago, we're still in the good market for for it's reasonable. You know, the banks have to make money too, and down there
Yeah.
3%, that ain't that's
No, and it feels really bass backwards, I think, to a lot of
yeah,
people. Because like, at least in our marketplace right now, it's still a seller's market, meaning the amount of inventory that we have available to the market puts us firmly into a seller's market, but sellers are having to offer some juicy concessions to get people off of the fence. So it's
yes.
just the whole thing is just kind of twisted
It's
up right now.
it's almost fair right now. And I don't
Yeah.
mean that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a give and take, and that's
Uh-huh.
okay. Versus, a buyer's market or seller's market where somebody's like taking advantage of the situation.
Someone feels like they're
But
getting the short end. Yeah.
yeah, we've got new house construction. Not only am I doing those, I got a lot of friends of the contractors doing them as well. And they're doing spec homes, selling them before they get them finished.
Mm-hmm.
I've got new homes, and I'm finding that if the people can get the money, they're spending it.
Yeah.
Now, I do a lot of barn construction as well, and those are smaller projects. And we see a little bit slow up there because those usually don't go through a bank. They're coming out of pocket
Yeah.
or, and those have slowed up a little bit. So if they don't have the funds, they're not doing those type of things. But houses, and then I was contacted the other day about building a subdivision, and it's like, whoo. But
Yeah.
we're
I
very
think,
fortunate to be here in Central Missouri too, like you are in Utah. That Columbia, Missouri, which is where the University of Missouri is at,
yeah.
it's just a growing all the time. So
Yeah, I think where it could get really scary is if you look at the state of Utah, about 90% of mortgages are locked under 4%. So
yeah,
you have the majority of homes that have a subpar or a sub 4 interest rate on it. If rates drop into the high fives, those people aren't moving. So where are they going? Well, if you look at our available inventory here in my county, 40% of my available inventory right now is new construction. But the scary part is the amount of permits that we have pulled over the last 4 years has dropped about 42% from its peak in 2021. So if all of that new construction inventory
yeah,
gets eaten up and people have still like me and my wife, we have a 2.75% interest rate on our house, even with $700,000 in equity, I'm not moving. I'm
yeah.
not moving. And so and so if you look at why prices went up like they did in 2020, 2021, interest rates were low, but that's not why prices went up. They went up because interest rates were low. So a bunch of people bought the inventory and there was nothing to sell. So prices had to go up. I could see us getting back into something like that, at least in our marketplace, because builders are not pulling inventory. You know this better than most do, Chris. Banks are being jackasses to builders right now. They doubled what they require for you to keep on capital on hand. So right now, instead of in 2020, you could have built one house with 20% down. Now you can build half of a house with 20% down. So these builders are having to keep double the capital on hand that they used to. And so they're going to be able to build half as many houses when this does start going again. We could be in a scary spot for a little while with with no inventory and a high demand.
hmm I could talk about this stuff all day long. I
Oh,
love it. But
this is like
I know.
like I said, my dad's a home builder. Like this is Sunday dinner table talk right here.
Do you see any kind of trends? And let's talk about when I say trends, we're talking about trends in a way, but I mean like construction, style, color, any of that type of stuff. That if I talk to my contractors about, hey, if you can't get any customers, be your own customer, build your own houses, be rentals or spec homes and so forth. So what kind of anything like that that's really hot and selling right now?
Yeah, we're seeing pre-builds are not as desirable right now for people. Back when I was selling for a builder 2018, 2019, 2020, we didn't have enough pace in front of us to keep available inventory. So there was no spec home sold. Now that's completely shifted. And I think 70 to 80% of the new construction deals we've done in this office have all been specs. And I think it's for a couple of reasons. Number one is buyers are not quite sure what the market's going to look like 9 or 10 months from now. And so if they can lock in their interest rate today, they're wanting to do that. The other thing that's happening is builders are able to offer way better incentives on something that's 60 days out instead of 9 months out. And so the spec model is definitely the model to go right now. If you're a builder that's listening to this, I would advocate for you to do the majority of your inventory as specs and just try to hit the middle of the market. I think the middle of the market, at least here in Utah, has changed dramatically. Right now, the whites and the grays are dead. That was all that people wanted, was white cabinets, gray countertops, and a light flooring back in the day in 2020. It's gone. And I think people are opting more for the warmer colors, the wood textures, the almost like, I would call it like 2000s, almost like early 2000s colors, but a little bit warmer than what that looked like.
Okay. So like what's the name of that paint? Anyway, but like the creams, but a warmer cream.
Yeah, like a warmer cream, wood cabinets, dark hardware on there, dark countertops, a little bit lighter floor, and people got kids that are staying inside more often, playing Nintendo Switch. So something that shows the footprints a little bit less.
I get the occasional, man. Some people, I'm seeing a little bit of both here. I'm seeing a lot of want the white shaker, or a shaker with a different. I'm talking about kitchen cabinets, and a little different shade of, not the white, but not. It's more of a shade cream color.
Yeah, it's more
Those
warmer.
are okay. Yeah. And then I've also had a guy. He's doing one, and I love this one though. But just I have a lot of Amish made cabinets, custom cabinets, and they're just like a naughty. It looks like a hickory or a naughty alder type thing with a clear coat. Those are really nice, I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like I'm walking around back in my friend's parents' houses back in the early 2000s, and it's weird that we're going back to that. But the whites and the grays are definitely softening the market a little bit.
Tell me about, now you have some real estate, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
So did you build those yourself, or did you purchase them?
I had a home builder help me with them. So I'm a big fan of new construction. Generally, you're paying a little bit of a premium, but for me, having zero maintenance on something was worth it. So I would give up a little bit of cash flow on the investment properties. The home I live in as well was new construction. To me, it's just the easiest way to get exactly what you want, defer some of that maintenance. And on the investment properties, definitely give up a little bit of cash flow. But if I can save a couple hours a month on my time of not having any maintenance, it was worth it to keep me in my day job.
Sure. And if I got contractors listening here and they want to build their own, they're just saving themselves some money. They got the overhead spread out, and then you're working for yourself, so you get all those benefits as well. So I love real estate. I tell you that before.
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah. I'm the same way though. I'm the same way. People always ask me, like, so are you in crypto? No, I don't understand crypto. Are you in stocks? No, I don't understand that. I understand real estate, so that's where I'm going to stay.
No, it's a good place to be. About trends, let's talk about leadership.
Okay.
That's important to my listeners, and obviously it's hard to have a CEO. So you have agents under you?
Yes, sir. I have about 65 agents that we've recruited in the last 12 months.
Is that all?
Yeah. It was a slow 12 months. We'll ramp it up this year for you. Have me back on in a year. Have me back on in a year. We'll have a different conversation.
How do you lead, or how do you, manage all those people?
Yeah, I think what I have learned is that there's certain things that you can hire and there's certain things you can train. And it's a very, very big difference. And so for me, I've made the decision, I'm not going to train on hustle. I'm not going to train on motivation. I'm not going to be David Goggins in the morning, standing up, yelling at everybody, saying who's going to carry the logs for me today. Like that's not going to be my approach. And selfishly, you know what I mean? Like I'm not going to be the guy that has to fire you up in the morning. If I have to fire you up in the morning, go find a different spot, because this isn't the place.
It's not that, okay.
No, the minute that I have to train you on motivation instead of actually how do you go and sit across from somebody face to face and say, Mr. G, let me explain to you how I'm going to sell your house for more money and at a better time frame than anybody else. That's the stuff that I can train on. I can teach all things real estate. I can't and I won't train on motivation. And so I think for anybody that's listening to this, that's in a position of leadership, Figure out what you don't want to train on and figure out what you want to hire, because there's a very big difference.
Good point. How do you find that out?
You ask questions and you put certain systems in place. So one of the things that we did immediately when we started this team is that we put in mandatory office hours for everybody that's not selling 4 houses a year. Sorry, 16 houses a year. For anybody that's not selling 16 houses a year, you have office time every single day from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And if 20 hours a week in the office feels like a lot to you, you should probably go find somewhere else, because this is not going to be the spot for you. And it's been interesting because we're a team that runs somewhat aggressive splits, meaning we take a decent portion out of agents' commission to do everything that we're doing on a team level. We are not the cheapest option out there for a lot of people, but if you want to go and grow your business, this is the place. And if 20 hours a week seems a little bit steep to you, I am completely okay with you opting out ahead of time than you getting in here and thinking I'm a jackass within the first 90 days of you being in here. So put some systems into place that will naturally deter people. I tell everybody, I'm not looking to fill every single seat up. That's not my business model. I would rather do this with 50 to 60 people that are committed to this rather than 100 people with 9 of them being all in and the other 91 being iffy at best.
Amen to that. So, are you guys having we're talking about going back to construction now, you guys having problems filling seats, not in your real estate, but do you see your contractors having troubles keeping good workers?
Yes and no. And I think that part of that is there's a lot of contractors that are good contractors, but they're terrible business people. They don't know how to run a business. They don't know how to let go. They don't know how, they feel like they got to have their finger on every single piece of paper that goes out, down to every single nail that gets put into a 2x4. And so
Hard-headed CEO there. Yeah,
that's what I mean. They have a hard time taking the hard hat off and putting some gel in their hair and calling themselves a CEO. And I don't mean that you have to be the person that's just signing away their life, but I think that they struggle because if they're really, really good operators, sometimes they struggle with becoming business people, in my experience.
Now, I can't say, for example, I can say that there are buildings that I built or had, well, our company built that I've never seen.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures, but I've never been there.
But that's a testimonial to you.
That's right. Well, I think so. And I can't say that about a house because I just love going to look at houses. And so I'll go look just because I want to see it. But the point is that we have other people doing their job that you hired them to do. They're building the house and they're getting it done. And the customer's happy and satisfied. And you got somebody there on site to take care of them, just like you have your guys. They know what they're supposed to do. They're self-motivated. And you might teach them something here and there that you want it done a certain way. Or they might even teach you about, hey, do you ever think about this? And that's the best part about being a good leader is that you're open to suggestion. But that is just awesome.
What if you look like I think the reason, sorry to cut you off.
No.
I think the reason, if you look like some of these HVAC companies, some of these framing companies, these concrete companies, if they can actually get up to the point where they are operating, not just doing a couple jobs here and there, but where they are actually operating, when they go to sell, their multiples are high. Like they're selling at a 7 to a 9 to a 10x multiplier, because I think that there are so few construction companies that actually run like companies, that there are groups of people that are willing to spend tens of millions of dollars to purchase the ones that are actually operating.
Oh, yeah. Where you're located, what's the population, roughly?
In Utah, we have about 3.2 million people.
In the state?
In the state.
Well, I know. It's a smaller state.
Yeah.
It tickles me. But, no, but here, here in, St. Louis and Kansas City are huge, comparatively speaking, but we have, I don't know, 400,000 here just in St. Louis or Columbia, but we incorporate a lot of stuff. And if you look at the state, it's all there. But I was just curious, 65, are you considered a large real estate agent? I mean, that seems like a lot of agents.
Yeah, we are probably the largest team in the state. We have 3 offices, 3.5 offices. We just opened up a satellite office about 4 hours south of here. So we have a total of about 180 real estate agents. My office specifically in Utah County has 65. We started with 4 last year.
Awesome. Oh, no, I got a question. Are you, I know you got a satellite office. Are you going to, what is your goals, I guess? What's your goal as a business owner?
So my personal goal is I do want to have, I feel like there's not really a good avenue for smaller home builders that don't have their own in-house sales team.
Yeah,
I want to step in and become the go-to person for all of these builder developers. I think that there's so few agents that actually understand the nuance is too soft of a word, but let's use it for the time being. The nuance
sure.
that it comes with selling new construction. Sometimes these agents don't understand that, hey, if you want me to sell 3 townhomes in a month instead of 6 townhomes in a month, my pricing has to be entirely different. And they don't understand that, hey, if I can turn my money twice in a year instead of 1.5 times per year, even
Yeah,
if I make less money on the 2 times on each individual transaction, if you turn it twice in a year, you're making more money overall.
I'm just turning and burning, really, just going
Uh-huh.
right to it. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah, and then for me, like I think that real estate is a archaic industry. If you look according to the National Association of Realtors, the average real estate agent is a 62-year-old white woman. And if you look in my office, I'm 31, I turned 32 here in a month. I'm kind of the
yeah.
old guy in here. And so for me, this is kind of a legacy project, if you want to call it that, where I want to be able to look back in 5 or 10 years, whatever I'm doing, wherever I'm at, and say, hey, a lot of the top producers that are operating in Utah's real estate market got
Hmm.
their start in my office.
Awesome. My mom's retired real estate, and she's 72. I shouldn't say that out loud. But anyway, she's retired, and the other day I was very fortunate that I had a gentleman. He actually owns the real estate. He wants to join, and that's build the subdivision. And I thought this would be wonderful. And I've done subdivision before, but for myself. But this one, and I let her sell it. But since she's retired, and that works out great. And the market, like you said, is going gangbusters. So, well, I'm just amazed by the market, really.
It's a weird one. It's
I just
fascinating to sit back and watch it.
Do you see a lot of new homeowners?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Uh-huh. Yeah, especially here in Utah. I think, like I said, at the beginning of this, I think a lot of what we're going to feel over the next 2 years is going to be very state specific. So
Yeah.
Utah has a lot of young families. Like I come from, I'm the oldest of 6 kids, and I'm not the weird one here. We go out of state, and people are like, are all of these brothers and sisters your brothers and sisters? Yeah. Okay. How many moms do you have? Just one mom. We
Just
got,
one mom.
yeah, just one mom. And so you see that, like now I have 4 kids, and I'm the weird one for not having 6 or 7. So we have a lot of young families. We have a lot of entrepreneurial minded individuals that start buying homes at an early age.
Well, I have Amish workers for me, and Junior, one of my guys, he's got uh, 17 siblings.
Uh-huh.
And I said, and he's not the oldest either. I said, Junior, you know why they call you Junior? He said, no. I said, because they run out of names. So,
That's all they had left by they got to number
yeah, right.
16.
Yeah. Um, and that is awesome. So, what kind of, talking about contractors and real estate agents, what kind of agreements do you come up with?
In
What I
what
mean by,
way?
like on a you talking about building, and do they give discounts? Like, hey man, I'm going to give you a discount, and then you give me a discount. We work together that way. Do you do joint ventures? Do you, when you're building maybe spec homes, for example, and you're wanting to just turn them out, like you said, you build them and you build as fast as you can with quality, and I'll sell them as fast as I can with good morals, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that,
Above board.
yeah, is that kind of how does that negotiation work out, I guess?
Yeah, I think if I was you, I would not want to partner with any real estate agents. The majority of I would do it case by case basis. The
Yeah.
majority of real estate agents are not good business people either. I know I talked some trash on contractors saying they're not good business people. I will turn right back around. There's 4 fingers pointing back at me when I'm pointing one at you. Most real estate agents absolutely suck at running a business. So I would find somebody that is very, very good at selling, somebody that's very, very good at marketing. The name of the game right now when it comes to moving new construction is moving any real estate in general is how can I get the most eyes on this possible? So I would
Uh,
find somebody that's good at that, not necessarily somebody that's good at JV. So like I have a deal right now where I'm bringing them the builder some lots. I won't
yeah,
JV on them. I'll just take my commission for selling them the lots, and then I will help them sell the homes once they build.
got you. That's fine. That's just what I'm asking. So if I'm a contractor and my wife doesn't have a job, but she thinks she'd like to be a real estate agent, go get her license and then let her do it, or are you better off just getting somebody that's I have my opinion, but
Yeah, let
I
me
want
let
your
me let
expert
me
opinion
let me
there.
flip that around. If I'm really good at selling houses and my wife doesn't know how to build one, so I have her come in and build one. Good
Yeah,
idea, bad practice.
exactly.
And I think that
I
my
see that,
argument would be,
but
I think it would be the same. I think if this is 2020 and all you got to do is put a sign up on the in front of the house and all you got to
yeah,
do is put it up on the MLS, yeah, it's a little bit different market. But right now, where there's a lot of negotiations, there's a lot that goes into it. I would go and find a really, really well established team. I think teams are better than brokerages right now. I would go find a
absolutely.
really, really good team that has the resources that you're looking for. A lot of people do it, I think, for cost savings. So they're thinking, hey, I'm going to pay Boo's Dame 2%, where I could
Whatever. Yeah,
where I could just put my wife in there and just collect all of it. I think it costs you more
not
money in the
worth it.
long run. I think,
I
and
agree. Mm-mm.
well, and I've never been to marriage counseling, but I can't imagine that's cheap either.
Oh, years ago, that's a good point. Well, years ago when I was young and dumb, I guess in 2003, I went and got my broker's license. And it became very clear to me that that is something I don't want to do.
Yeah.
I don't want the, somehow me taking that test, I'm more responsible and smarter than everybody else according to the
Hmm.
law. And I don't need that.
Yeah.
I let it go back and you have people, and we're talking about, the hard headed CEO. You hire people that knows what they're doing. You pay them fairly, and it all works out at the end.
Yeah. Well, and I think that what, like we said earlier, I think what contractors struggle with is doing what they're really, really good at. And in their opinion, what they're really good at is swinging a hammer. And that's not true. They're probably better at producing business than they are at swinging a hammer. They're probably better at running systems than they are at swinging a hammer. And I think that the majority of builders would be better off to stay home builders that rather than trying to sell up until they get to a certain point and they can hire it in-house. For us in Utah,
Sure.
I tell every builder that I interview with, my target demographic is builders that are building less than 150 units a year. Once you get to 150 units a year,
You're big enough.
I am
Yeah.
going to personally fire myself. We're going to go get lunch. We're going to shake hands and part ways as friends because you guys no longer need my services. I'll help you put a team in place and we're going to go part ways as friends. Because at that point, you don't need me. It makes more sense to bring in your own in-house sales VP, bring in your own sales team, because you guys are a machine at that point and you don't need me to bring in my services. Up
Perfect.
until that point, though, I'm going to help you with a couple of key elements.
That was great. And then I forgot what I was going to ask. You impressed me so much, I forgot the question.
My goal,
Um,
I tell every builder that my goal, Chris, is for you to fire me very shortly. Within the next couple of years, if I do my job correctly, you will fire me, and we're going to both celebrate on that day.
Amen. So, does your, oh, I know what I was going to say now. Thank you. So, you're talking about their job might be to, instead of swinging a hammer, is generating revenue. And their job could be, and I've had discussion in past episodes, it might be that they're not the best person to run the business too.
Mm-hmm.
You get somebody to run your business, you go out and if your specialty is the sales, getting that sales and talking it up, go do that. If you really believe your business, you are the best person to swing the hammer, that's fine. Swing the hammer, get you a salesman. But find the thing that you do the best, enjoy the most, and then hire out the rest.
Yep.
So that gets you to a point where we can have that 150 houses and get your own sales team.
It's very
You,
hard to scale swinging a hammer, though.
oh, absolutely. No, I mean, you have to have the team in place,
You do.
but you also have to be humble and realize that you can't do it all. And I'm not saying you need to be a hammer swinger. I mean, you got this far. Probably swinging the hammer is not your best use, but
No.
who knows? But the point being is, if you think, do what you do best and let somebody else do it. I mean, you might even get better at just turning it all over to somebody. If you get
Yep.
that big, that's fine. You can
Yeah, but
afford
and I think
no
what people
talent.
struggle with too is they struggle to identify what energetically is just sucking the life out of them. And so
Yeah,
they keep doing it because they feel like they can't turn it over to anybody. And then they go home and they hate their job and they hate their business that they've built and they're miserable in it. And I don't think that that's any way to run a company either.
your company, does your agents have virtual assistants, or
Yeah.
do you have a team like that?
Yeah, we
That's
supply all that at the team level. That's part of what people are
cool.
paying for with their splits. So we have 3 transaction coordinators on staff. We have 3 content creators on staff. We have probably 5 to 10 remote virtual assistants that help the transaction coordinators.
Hmm.
Yeah, we have I mean, we did just under 1,200 transactions last year. So the support staff that we have behind the scenes making everything run is robust.
Do they do, does the staff, I'm going to call them staff for right now, are they helping do the contract and stuff? And they're just doing, is a the agent's job to sell, and that's all they're doing?
Yeah, we believe the same principle that we just talked about, which is
Yeah.
I'm hiring you to sell houses. That usually is going to require you being face to face with people, out showing homes, out touring stuff, getting contracts signed. I want you to get the contract signed and turn the rest over to the team because I hate to break it to you, they are better at this than you are.
I'd high five you if we were together in the same room. All right. Well, this has been, oh, I've enjoyed it thoroughly.
I appreciate it.
Boo, now I know that you're just doing the real estate, right? You're not doing anything else. Are you doing any coaching, leadership, anything like that?
Hey,
Coaches?
I feel like the biggest advantage I had from my old man growing up in the industry was a head start because we had conversations like this in the back of a truck when I was 6 years old. So if anybody ever needs any coaching or leadership, I don't charge for any coaching or anything like that, but I am more than happy to give back some of that time because I feel like I owe the universe a little bit of a debt.
That's awesome. And they can contact you. We'll put that in the show notes. That's good with you.
Yep.
Man, I'm telling you, I love real estate. I've said it one more time. So everybody, I've been doing this since 2001. I think it's been wonderful.
Well, and hopefully we gave you a little bit of hope in the younger generation too that's coming up because there's a lot of people my age that are not running their business like I think they should, and there's a lot of real estate agents not contributing to society all that much. So hopefully we can change that just a little bit.
Well, I hope everybody out there learn ways to expand their business or grow their business or go be their own business as far as hiring themselves to invest in other assets. So that being said, Boo, thank you very much.
Of course. Happy to be here. Let me know when we're doing it again.
Excuse me. And as always, if you like what we talked about and want to discuss further with me, ways to become that CEO of your business, click the link below. Y'all have a good day. Bye-bye.